Emily's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the relentless drumming of rain on the barn roof. Outside, the storm raged with fury, transforming the once familiar landscape into a chaotic expanse of mud and shadows. Inside, the air was thick with tension and the sharp tang of sweat and straw. She paced back and forth across the dirt floor, her boots scuffing up faint clouds of dust, her eyes darting repeatedly to the mare lying on her side just a few feet away. Daisy, her beloved chestnut mare, a loyal companion of many years, was struggling. The mare's muscles strained visibly, her sides heaving with each labored breath. The flickering lantern light cast eerie, dancing shadows along the wooden walls, illuminating the sheen of sweat on Daisy's quivering body. Emily clenched her fists so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Despite her best efforts, cleaning Daisy with cool cloths, whispering soft reassurances, rearranging the straw to make her comfortable, nothing seemed to alleviate the mare's suffering. The hours dragged on mercilessly, and with every passing minute, Emily's sense of helplessness deepened. The earliest signs of labor had begun hours ago, but things were not progressing as they should. Daisy's contractions were growing weaker, and her once powerful body now trembled with exhaustion. Emily had called the veterinarian the moment she realized something was wrong. His calm, steady voice over the phone had been a lifeline in her growing panic. He promised to arrive as soon as possible, but the storm had turned the roads into treacherous mudslides, and nearly 2 hours had passed with no sign of him. Emily's worry weighed heavy on her chest, compressing her lungs and making it hard to breathe. She found herself standing at the barn door, staring into the unrelenting darkness, rain stinging her face as the wind whipped her hair. She strained her eyes, hoping for the faint glow of headlights cutting through the storm, but there was nothing. Only rain and the oppressive black void. She slammed the door shut and leaned against it, fighting back the tears threatening to spill over. Turning back to Daisy, Emily's heart twisted at the sight of her mare's shallow breaths. The rise and fall of her chest were unnervingly faint, and Emily's panic surged anew. Kneeling beside Daisy, she pressed her face against the mare's damp neck, the scent of sweat and straw filling her senses. Daisy's pain was palpable, radiating from her in waves, and Emily felt utterly powerless. She needed to act, but what could she do? Grabbing the birthing kit from the workbench, Emily unzipped it with trembling hands. She had purchased it months ago, hoping she would never have to use it. Now, it felt like her only lifeline. With shaking fingers, she pulled on a pair of sterile gloves and began to examine Daisy as carefully as she could. Her knowledge was limited to articles and videos she had devoured in preparation for this day, and she prayed it would be enough. As her hands moved along Daisy's side, Emily felt the subtle but steady movements of life within. The foal was alive, but it wasn't positioned correctly. A wave of nausea churned in her stomach as she realized the gravity of the situation. She had neither the expertise nor the strength to correct it on her own. Tears welled in her eyes again, but she swallowed them down, forcing herself to stay composed. Daisy and her foal needed her to be strong. She tried calling the vet again, but the call went straight to voicemail. A frustrated gasp escaped her lips as she let the phone fall to her side. The storm outside roared louder, the barn trembling with the force of thunder rolling closer. Emily took a deep breath, steadying herself as she grabbed a fresh towel and returned to Daisy's side. She placed a gentle hand on the mare's belly, feeling the faint, rhythmic movements of the foal within. "Hold on, Daisy," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Just hold on a little longer." Suddenly, through the cacophony of the storm, Emily heard something that made her heart leap. It was faint at first, barely discernible above the rain, but it grew louder, unmistakable, the sound of an engine. She rushed to the door, flinging it open and peering into the darkness. Headlights pierced through the downpour, illuminating the driveway as a truck skidded to a stop. Relief flooded Emily's veins as the veterinarian emerged, running toward the barn with his coat pulled tightly around him. "Thank God you're here," Emily cried, ushering him inside. The vet wasted no time. He assessed the situation with practiced efficiency, his hands moving with calm precision despite the urgency of the moment. Emily watched from a distance, her fists clenched so tightly that her nails bit into her palms. The tension in the barn was almost unbearable, each second stretching into an eternity. Daisy let out a low, guttural moan, her body trembling with exertion. The vet's expression remained focused, his gloved hands working steadily to reposition the foal. Emily held her breath, her heart pounding in her ears. Finally, after what felt like hours, there was movement. Subtle at first, then undeniable. With one last desperate push, Daisy let out a powerful cry, and the foal emerged. For a moment, silence filled the barn. The rain outside seemed distant, muted, as everyone's attention focused on the newborn. The vet's hands stilled as he stared at the foal, his eyes wide with disbelief. He staggered back slightly, his mouth opening and closing as if trying to find the words. "What is it?" Emily's voice broke the silence, trembling with both fear and curiosity. She stepped closer, her breath catching in her throat as she laid eyes on the foal for the first time. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The foal's coat was a stunning black and white pattern, so perfect it looked as though it had been painted by an artist. But it wasn't the coat that stole Emily's breath. Protruding awkwardly from the foal's groin was an extra leg, pale pink and twitching slightly. The malformed limb was unlike anything Emily or the vet had ever encountered. Emily's knees buckled and she sank to the ground, her hands covering her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The vet shook his head slowly, his expression a mixture of awe and concern. "I've seen a lot in my years," he said softly. "But this is something else." Emily reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing against the foal's smooth, warm coat. Despite its unusual appearance, the foal was alive, its tiny chest rising and falling with each labored breath. Emily felt a surge of emotions, awe, fear, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. The vet's voice broke through her thoughts. "It would have been better if it hadn't survived," he said grimly. "An anomaly like this, it'll face challenges its whole life." But Emily couldn't bring herself to accept that. She looked at the foal, its eyes blinking open for the first time, and saw not a mistake, but a miracle. "No," she said firmly. "We'll give it a chance. We'll do everything we can to help it thrive." The vet hesitated, then nodded. "It'll be a tough road," he warned. "We'll manage," Emily replied, her voice steady. Outside, the storm continued to rage, but inside the barn, there was warmth and life. Emily cradled the foal in her arms, its unusual form a testament to resilience and the will to survive. As she looked down at the tiny creature, she felt a spark of hope igniting within her. Against all odds, Daisy and her foal had made it through the night. Have you ever experienced a rare and unbelievable moment that left you in awe? Share your story in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.